Okay, this is section 3 on regarding the ending of this dispensation in time and the beginning of the next dispensation in time. This period is concerned with material development. I explained in my book, The Blossoming of Christianity, that the planet is a living entity. And I provided convincing evidence that shows that the planet is synonymous to a person. And they undergo a similar type of development. When a baby's in the womb, the material aspects of the baby develop first. Then, of course, you have the nervous system being the last part of the physical development of the baby that takes place. Actually, the nervous system doesn't become completely functional until after the baby have come into the world. Sigmund Freud, a famous psychologist, neurologist in the 18th century, he devised a system regarding the psychic development of an individual, and he said that just as during the physiological development of a person, just as that you have your physical aspects of the body manifest out of physiological development, like your organs, you also have instincts that manifest. And of course, those instincts, I explain them in my book, The Blossoming of Christianity, they lead into the conscious development. You know, you have a reflex activity that take place, and through those reflex activities, the energy of the id has contact with the external environment, which sparks psychic development. It's all in my book, The Blossoming of Christianity. I'm trying to get these sessions in, but of course, you know, there's no way that I can tell you all of the concepts that I have in my book, which the book has 604 pages, you know. So, I have in that book convincing evidence that shows that the planet Earth is a living entity, and it has undergo the same type of similar development as an individual. We can see this because you see the physiological development of the planet. We can measure, and we can see that those planetary government, which are equivalent or synonymous with cells, and the United States would be similar to a planetary government. Any nation that is self-sufficient on the planet and has other smaller nations as satellite nation, you know, would be considered a planetary government. These are like cells on the planet that make up the planet. So we can see, and now in the Middle East, we have the unrest going on in the Middle East. This is suggesting that you have those planetary governments. They have not completely gone through their course over in the Middle East. You know, that's what they're working on. But once that all is settled out, then the physiological development of the planet, which the Bible also called the time of the Gentiles, will be pretty much completed. And now we see that the nervous system is taking part. I mean, going in the process of being developed, because the computer, the internet, this is just similar to the nervous system that we have in our body. You know, where you got information that coming from all aspects of your body, going to a central location, which is the brain. We have the similar thing that's taking place with the planet and the internet. You know. So, you know, I just want the scientists in the church to begin to look into this direction. Then we begin to see what it is about the kingdom of heaven and what we need to do in order to help bring in that kingdom of heaven, which is the ending of this dispensation of time and the beginning of the next. We're on a materialistic paradigm, which is part of the physical development of the body, just as the individual in the womb, you know, the physical body being manifest. But now we must switch and take on a spiritual paradigm. And the book of Revelation tells us, you have information to tell us how we need to do that. We talked about the beast that came up out of the sea. And that beast represents the planet Earth emerging out of a sea or positive and negative charges. Now, I'm giving this information in a broad perspective. It takes, it'll probably take volumes of book to work out all the details about this, but basically, this is what that beast that rose up out of the sea represents: the planet Earth emerging out of a sea of positive and negative charges. And the beast that rose up out of the earth is the religious establishment. You see. So now these two forces will fight against the Lamb. I explained in the last session that the Lamb is simply an idea. It's an idea that Jesus carried within his conscious mind, and that ideal is what we need to get on top of the religious establishment of the world. It's the idea that God is the maker of all things, and all things he made are good. Under the materialistic paradigm, we're operating, which is the Lamb has an enemy. The enemy is the dragon in Revelation. But see, the dragon is simply an idea also. It's the idea that some things made are evil or are not made by God. We picked that idea up from Adam and Eve, who Satan, the serpent, enticed them to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. I explained that when God created all things, and in the beginning, everything he made, he said was good. This is good, God said. Nothing he created, he said, was evil. So when Adam and Eve began to say something was evil, oh, this may be good, they say, but this is evil, then they became separated from the mindset of God. And that's what brought sin into the world. Spiritual death came along with that also. But the Bible says separating from God is sin. And the wages of sin is death. So see, that's why the devil came in. They became separated from God. God said, oh, he's making this good. And they're going to say something is evil. Or God, you're not making this. Now Jesus, when he came, he taught the idea that all things are made by God. That's why John wrote it in the book of John, the first chapter, I think the third verse. He said, well, the first verse is, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. All things were made by God. And without God, there was not anything made that was made. Not anything. So you see, Jesus taught that. That's why John recorded it. So Jesus would bring the idea that God is making all things. You can't prove that God is making all things, but you can't prove that he's not. Either one of those ideals, the lamb or the dragon, you have to accept by faith. We've been operating under the influence of the idea that God is not the maker of all things, or something he made were evil. You see, we've been doing that subconsciously. It's been carried over generations doing social development of human beings, until it's become entrenched in our subconscious mind. We just automatically, make decisions regarding other individuals and the things in the world based on the idea that some things are evil, are not made by God. We do it automatically. So this is where I'm trying to get the church and the scientific community to realize that they got to stop and give some consideration to this idea. You see, you can't prove that God is not making all things. So you got to give that consideration. And that's the idea that Jesus taught. This is the Lamb. This is the first resurrection. We've got to do this before we can even begin to think about how the kingdom is to manifest onto the earth. You see, and how this body, the planet, is finish its development. You see, that kingdom is going to be like a head. Individual, the conscious mind is a kingdom. I explained it all in my book. It's a kingdom. And the planet Earth got to be patterned after that kingdom, and both kingdoms got to be patterned after the kingdom of heaven. You see? So I don't know what people are doing, but I know God has given me this. So, the church people and the scientific community and just the general public, they can ignore this all they want. But I know that sooner or later they got to get here. They got to come here. So if you can understand anything that I'm saying, you better try to catch hold of this, It'd be good if you can get that book, The Blossoming of Christianity. You go on the internet and look it up, from supernatural to the natural. and you can find out how you can get a copy of it. Because God has given me this to give to people. I don't know what's going on with these people. You know, they go to church, and I see, even while I turn to the internet, I see people singing, and you know, they're still doing things like healing folks by putting their hands on them and things like this. Things that I don't understand. You know, I just, well, I don't know, you know. But I know what I'm telling you is real. All you got to do is look into it. So I'm just trying to get some of these things going on in Revelation so we can start working with it as I go along, you know. So we see that the beast that rose up out of the sea is your planetary development. It's the earth, which is culminated in the planetary development of nations. And the beast that rose up out of the earth is culminated into maybe your 5 or 6 major world religions. Christianity is one of them. Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, Islam, you know, they are part of this beast that rose up out of the earth. And see, and they're your false prophets. When you see the Bible say this is your false prophets, are we to be led to believe that this is somebody like, oh, that gentleman Jim Jones, I think that was his name, who at Waco caused a lot of people to be killed by the government, leading people off from, you know, into a specific line of Christianity. You know, are to be led to believe that only those type of people who you know, an anomaly, you know, not a part of the Christianity, are to be considered the false prophets? No. This is all the religion, because they all are operating on the idea something made of evil or not made by God. This is your false prophet. This is the dragon. And all of them have that idea, you see. So this is your false prophet. And they got another system working too with that circumcision, which I don't know a whole lot about, but I know its function. You know, and this is why people are being joined together, and and Thessalonians said there'd be somebody who got a system, and in Daniel, book of Daniel, you know, this ancient of age have a fiery kingdom where books are being opened. That means that people can read your thoughts. See, these books are your mind, and they got a system that they're trying to work in the world. You see, so this is all part of the beast that came about the earth. It's your false prophet. You see, and what we've got to do is we've got to get that lamb, the idea, on top of that religious establishment, and get rid of this false prophecy, which is operating on the idea of something made of evil or not made by God. And I explained in the last session the way that's supposed to take place. The people who are gone into circumcision under the law, they're the one, I believe, they have a family all over the world. And each one of those families has something like a throne. And these are the people that John said he saw, now lo and I saw throne, and those who sit upon them, and judgment was given unto them. I explained that this is one way we know that it's just not going to be Jesus that go to Mount Zion at this period. It's going to be the ideal that he carried within his conscious mind that's going to be the first resurrection that constitutes the Lamb. And those who sit on the throne are going to judge. Judgment is given unto them. Whether the Lamb is correct or the dragon is correct. You got to go one way or the other. There's no way that you can function morally in a society, in planetary social development, without basing your idea on one or the other of those two ideals. You ought to believe that all things are made by God and all things he made are good, or you believe that some things are not made by God or some things made are evil. You got to. If you don't accept one, you automatically will be accepting the other. There's no way you get around that. So the ones who sit on the throne, you know, judgment will be given up to them. Because the religious establishment, I don't think they're gonna be inclined to come along with this idea. You know, they got their little thing going on in the world, and they don't want to get upset. And of course, the planetary government, this consists of your Babylon sitting on top of planetary social development. I explained it in this section. And Babylon is your material development. That's what it's all about, the proliferation of material products and services. So your commerce ain't gonna go along with this, man. They got their little niche, It's gonna have to be those families sitting on those thrones to judge. You see, if we get this idea on top of Mount Zion. And there will also be another group in the Bible. It's called the 144,000. These are the ones who are not gone into circumcision. And it's clear to me that these are your people like the schizophrenia, and people on that level who are not joined as one. These are the souls under the altar. And if you read when they explain about those 7 veils, then seals. When you open the 5th seal, I saw the souls under the altar. And it was said unto them that they should rest a little season until their brethren have gone through the same type of death that they've gone through. It's a certain type of death, you see. I explained it all in the book. But these people hadn't died unto the law. See, they're dead in Christ, So these are the ones who are able to carry that idea. But I just believe that the people who are gone into circumcision on the law cannot carry the idea, but they can judge about the idea. And they're supposed to help the Lamb through those 144,000. And it's another way you can see that it's a body, similar to a body of a person, because we have 12 cranial nerves to make up our body. 12 cranial nerves that hook the brain up to the body. And this is the same thing that you have with the 144,000, because it's 12,000 from each of the tribes of Israel. 12,000, and there's 12 tribes of Israel. You see. And so God to say those 12,000, or the 12 tribes out, 12,000 from each tribe, and there are 12 tribes, just like you got 12 cranial nerves, to be able to hook the body up to the head, to the planetary, which later on the kingdom will start manifest out of the head. So you see, this has to be done. I try to get in as much as I can, but these video clips, I have to keep them short. I don't want to make them too long so people, don't want to look at the whole thing. So I do another little bit on that, explaining how this is the ending of this period in time, and the beginning of the next period, and what we have to do to help bring in the kingdom of heaven. We have a job to do. We have to join union with God and try to get this thing done.